Hey everybody, we're live here. Sorry I look a hot mess. I got a rash on my eye a couple days ago. I think it was either some makeup after I washed my face that one night and went to bed. Maybe I got something in my eye because it was swollen and rashy the next day. But I still have a little bit of a redness there. It doesn't hurt or anything, but I do look a mess. My apologies, but welcome to the first live chat of the new bomber jacket video class. All right, so we have some people on here. Ooh, Gina's in from North Carolina. I am in chilly Florida today, where it is like 4:30 in the afternoon and still 45 degrees. So I have my heater here. Can y'all hear it? Let me know if it's bothering the sound. I could stand to be a little cooler, but I'm warming up my hands in here because my studio doesn't have heater. It has AC for the hot months, but I need a heater up in here. It's saying that it's like 61 degrees, which is a little chilly for me. I got that Florida blood. All right, we got people from California tuning in. Now, oh, you can't hear the heater. Awesome. Thank you. Nikki Reed says she can't hear it. All right. Susan is in Clearwater, Florida. She says, you're right, it is chilly there too. Many of us have heaters on right now. Yep. Hey, Sally. All right, so this is the first video chat for the Bomber Jacket online course. And this one we're gonna keep kind of short. I just wanted to kind of touch base with everybody, get some feedback from you, answer maybe some quick questions for those of you that are like out there still looking for fabric to get. And then we'll go over a little update of what we have in our shop as far as the class goes. If you have friends that want to join in, there's still time to join. They can't get in on the early bird sale price, but the regular course class is 67 bucks. I have some little swatches here of new fabrics that we're getting in. We're actually gonna head over, once I'm done here with the live chat, we're gonna go cut these up and turn them into kits because all our kits that we had last week sold out. So they flew out the door. I think most of you probably have already got it. If not, check your email notification for the shipping notification that you get automatically once we print out the label here for shipping. But I have little pieces of some new fabrics that we'll be kitting up this week if you want to grab some of those once they go up. And I'll talk a little bit about ribbing fabric because I saw some questions about that in the Facebook group. Now, you don't have to have Facebook, obviously, to be in this course, but if you are on Facebook, we have a group called, it's not exclusive to the Bomber Jacket class students, but it's called Sewing Clothes with the Crafty Gemini. So you can just do a Facebook search for Sewing Clothes with Crafty Gemini, and it is a closed group, so I would have to accept you into it. If you have like a weird name or a really kind of sketchy looking Facebook page or you don't have much content on there, you're probably going to get declined. If that happens and you're in the class especially, just shoot me an email and let me know, hey, my Facebook name is so-and-so and I'm trying to get into that group so I can join in. But if you don't have Facebook, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. All the course content is going to be posted on the main course page, the same way that the first 5 videos have gone up. And all the remaining ones, as well as these live chats, are going to be put there for everyone to watch the recording. So if you're watching the recording, hi there. Maybe you can give yourself some reminders on your calendar so that you can try and catch the next one if it is in your time frame. This tends to be a time that a lot of people around the world can catch, but it's hard for me to be like daytime hours for us here in the US, and I'm on the East Coast, and still be able to have it be at a time that the entire world is covered. Because a lot of my classes have international students from all over the world, everywhere from Africa and the Middle East and Asia and the US and Canada and Europe and all over, okay? So, one of the things that I wanted to do first is get everybody to take a deep breath and relax. You will get through this project. I feel like once we sew and quilt for a while, when beginners come in and they're all like, oh, I'm not sure. Am I cutting it right? Am I measuring it right? And they're like hesitant about every single step. If you've been doing it for a long time, you're just like rolling your eyes like, oh, relax, get over it. You'll be fine. But as somebody who recently learned how to knit and I'm tackling new different projects, I feel a little bit of like that. I mean, still, I feel like I'm not scared of anything. So I'm like, I'll figure this out one way or the other. But I do feel like, okay, I'm going to jump into this. And then I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing. So I can totally relate to some of that kind of hesitation and feeling that you all have, but that's why you signed up for my class, right? Because with my video instruction, I'm gonna walk you through every step. So, and if you have questions, just email me and post them in the chat when we have like a chat following a chunk of classes, okay? Hi, Carol from Indiana. Hey, Yvonne. And so that is how we're going to tackle it. Just relax, take a deep breath. I know a lot of you have been posting in the Facebook group that you got the pattern. Let me open this one up. We have more patterns in stock, by the way. If you were waiting because they were sold out and back ordered, we've shipped all those out, I think, already. And we have a new batch of patterns in. So if you still need to get the hard copy pattern, just head over to craftygemini.com/shop and we have some more in there. So some of you got your pattern, so excited, opened it up, and we're like, what in the world? So remember, the pattern does include 27 sizes. 27 little lines, but they are color coordinated. Do you see that? And the letter is written on each one. Now, one quick thing to note, if you don't have too much of a like super steady hand and you're one of those people that you're tracing and you're like, oh, I got off a little on the line. Guys, let's be real. There's 27 sizes. Do you really think that from like J to M is going to be too big of a difference if the fabric is that? You're also working with stretch fabric. Do not add additional anxiety and stress to the completion of the project by already being too hard on yourself with the tracing. I mean, you haven't even gotten to cutting or sewing and people are freaking out. So just try to relax. In the next video session, and I'm calling them sessions because I'm not posting just one video, right? Every time I post a new thing. So the first video session included 5 independent videos. So they're different video lessons in that first day that I posted the first batch. The next batch goes up, what, I think this coming Friday. Yeah, this coming Friday. And so in that batch of videos, we're going to jump into talking about sizing. Remember, the size chart is on the back. I went over this briefly already in the videos that are posted to your course right now. So if you haven't had a chance to watch those first 5 videos, check it out because there's a ton of info there, especially if you're someone that's still searching for the fabrics, right? So we talk about this. Then in the videos, that video batch that goes up on Friday, I'm going to talk about tracing it out. And we're going to talk a little bit about tracing patterns. I wanted to mention it a little here today because I know some of you already have the pattern and wanted to start tracing out the pattern size. Here's my recommendation. Go by the bust, width, hip, and the girth measurement as I covered in the first videos that I showed you how it is here and how to find it on the columns in the charts, whether you're making it for kids or you're making it for adult women, right? Go by that and choose whatever the size is going to be that you fall closest to. So say your bust is here, your waist is here, and your hip measurement is here, like across 3 patterns. Find the middle. Unless it's like the larger measurement is your bust and you really want to zip your jacket up and you're afraid that it's not going to reach, then go up a size. The first pattern or the first jacket that you make from this pattern, I want it to be simple, just so you get through the steps. Okay, we're not aiming for couture, super perfect fitting, whatever. And the fact that this pattern fits great no matter the size. And like I told you, I don't have a typical body that they tend to design patterns for, and it fits me fine at my size. I have no problems. I have really big arms and I still can move them. It's not super tight on me. And remember that this one is lined. So I have a whole nother layer of fabric in there that's adding bulk to it. So there is quite a good amount of ease, all right? Think about that. The designers created an outerwear pattern. This is supposed to go over clothes. So it's not gonna go to your exact body measurements because otherwise you would never be able to get it on over a regular shirt, all right? So think about those things. It's not gonna fit you super tight if you're close in that range. You still have some wiggle room. So do not stress about it too much. If you really are like, oh, I don't want it to be small, go up. But I want you to make this pattern one time, straight through one size and unlined. Once you walk through in the course through all these different steps to complete a finished jacket, then I guarantee you, you're going to be like, okay, either yes, sewing garments is not that bad and this is for me, or like, yeah, I'm done sewing garments, which I don't think is going to happen because this project is not that complex. And remember, there's only 8 pattern pieces. So if you just take each one of my video lessons in each session as I post it, step by step, you're going to be good to go. Okay? Last night, I cut out my son's size and I cut out the fabrics for his jacket, the exterior and lining fabrics in one night, like super quick. And they're not that many pieces. So now I'm getting ready to the next step. And that is exactly the process that I want you to use too when you're creating the jacket. Don't, if you have your pattern and fabric already, don't jump into it, right? You sign up for the class to kind of follow the videos. So do that, because I don't want you to get stuck or people to be asking questions kind of like ahead of where the class is. So does the pattern have all the instructions you need to make the jacket? Yes. Are there some tricky spots that I want you to wait for the videos so that I can break it down for you in a more easy to understand manner? Yes. Okay? So we will talk about tracing. For those of you, some of you have already traced out your patterns, and that tells me that you probably have sewn clothes before, so you have some tracing paper, or maybe you just picked up some pattern tracing paper. If you are going to go ahead and select some patterns, especially if you plan to make multiples of these, you can use any paper, okay, or even any medium that is flat, all right, and that you can see through to see the lines underneath. Does it have to be super, super sheer? No. You can even use printer paper. If you have it on the big rolls off of like a plotter printer or something like that, you can lay that on top of this and still see the lines. If you're off by one size and you're like 1/8 of an inch off when you're tracing, it's not going to make or break the project, all right? Another option, especially if you're one of the ones that I said to make it for kids first before you jump into larger amounts of fabric, tissue paper. This is from the dollar store, okay? Just the same stuff that you used to put in your gift packages. Some of those sheets are not that big, but these pattern pieces are not that big either. So you may have to, for some of the larger sizes, maybe tape a couple together just to do like the full length of the arm. But remember, these pattern pieces are cut on the fold. So you don't need one to go the full height, like the full length and width of your back, because it's just half of that as the pattern. So think about that too. If you have regular tissue paper, that will work. If you have tracing paper, if you have Swedish tracing paper, that's a popular one, but it's pricey. If you're just starting off, you don't have to be investing in these, you know, non-rip, non-tear type of pattern tracing papers. Just grab whatever. Just trace off the pattern once so that you have it to then place on your fabric and cut. And if you've never sewn garments before, I often in my videos where I teach you how to use, you know, to sew with like the Simplicity, McCall's, those big 4 commercial patterns, you can iron them flat. So you know how they come folded up? The same with this kind of tissue paper. If it's a little bit wrinkly, take a dry iron. Don't put any water in it for steam. You don't want to add moisture to paper, okay, because it'll bubble up on you. But a nice warm or hot dry iron and just smooth it out. And you can get all those wrinkles out. Place it over, because sometimes even if there's small wrinkles and the paper is pretty sheer, it will kind of affect how clearly you can see the lines underneath as you're tracing. But if you smooth it out flat, put it right on top, put anything to weigh it down so the little, you know, tissue paper, whatever paper you're using doesn't move around, and then just proceed to trace it out. If you are going to go ahead and trace out your pieces, make sure that you label all your pattern pieces too. So typically I would put the pattern name and number, so Jali 3675, or just like Jali, I put Charlie, so I know it's a Charlie bomber jacket. And then I'll write the size on it and copy from here. If it says cut 1, those little scissors plus a 1 means cut 1. Some pieces it'll say cut 2. So just write it there, so when you go back and reference the pattern piece, you don't just have like a little chunk of tissue and you're like, what exactly is this supposed to be, right? So label it all and copy the instructions from there. But if you're not one of those people that's moving ahead, I'm kind of just doing that to help some people out who are already jumping into tracing it. If you're not there yet, don't worry. I'm going to cover this all in depth in the next batch of videos that's going to go up on the course homepage on Friday. All right? So that's where we are with that. We got some more patterns in. We are also going to be listing our reversible zippers. I have, I think, 20 right now on hand that I'm going to list on the website, and I've been waiting for 2 weeks for the batch of like 150 that I ordered. So they're not, they haven't shipped yet. I need to call them tomorrow and see what's the holdup. But I am going to post 20 of these, and the reversible zipper is the same black separating jacket zipper. Okay, so remember, it has to separate, otherwise you're going to get stuck at the bottom. It can't be a regular craft zipper. We do have some of the regular zippers on hand. If you're just doing the first one unlined, you know, you just need it to open up, and you're not making it reversible yet, because if you don't have too much experience, I would not jump into making the lined or reversible version, okay? But again, I'm going to go through all that in the video course, and when we get to those videos, once you make one unlined, you'll totally be able to go back and watch those and make them lined or reversible. So what's going to differentiate the jacket from being just reversible and lined, or just lined and just open, you know, that you can open it one way, or reversible so that whatever you put in on the lining, you'll be able to see on the exterior, so you'll have 2 jackets in one, is this simple little fact here. Do you see how I flopped the pull to my side now? And I can bring it across to that side. That's all you need. Otherwise, it's the exact same zipper. So we're going to put these on the website, the 22-inch length, which is the one that you need for adult sizes. And that's it. This will make it reversible. All right? Super simple. Now, that's for zippers. For fabrics, we are adding some more to the website. So the vendor that I found for the quilted knit that I used on this sample, and on my daughter, no, I used Ponte on hers. This knit that you all, if you purchase the kit, that's the knit that you got either in this kind of black faux denim quilted knit or the bluish one. This one, okay, this fabric all sold out. I had bought everything that the vendor had. So we're not going to get any more of that in because it's not available anymore. But I did get my hands on some other quilted knits. This is a navy. And I like this one too because the batting on the inside is actually navy. The batting on the inside of these guys was white. So a quilted knit. We're going to have that on the site with the kits. And then I have a different blue. You see how there's two different? This is the navy and this is going to be the royal blue. Same quilted knit, super cute. These are going to look great with a ton of fabrics. And then I got this cool funky one that's red, but the quilted lines have black on them. All right? So a nice sturdy double knit weight. So we're going to have those. We have some new Liverpool fabrics that we're going to be kitting up. This houndstooth one, the background, oh, it's black and blue. Okay? Yeah, my daughter liked this one too. Some of you are saying you like the red with the black. And remember that the fabrics that we're using in the kit, so if you got a kit from us, you got 1 yard of a quilted knit and 1 yard of a Liverpool. You can swap. I like to use the quilted knit for the sleeves and the pockets, but you can use the quilted knit part for here and then change up the sleeves and the back panel, right? So you can use the 1 yard of each for 2 different things, all right? Then, so this was a Liverpool print, houndstooth. We got some French terry in, which is another fabric that you can totally use. And this is kind of like muted, heathered, red, navy, and white stripe. And this is called French terry. For those of you that maybe are not familiar with it or never seen it before, it has the little loops on the back. They don't stick out like toweling does, but it has that kind of cozy sweat panty feel to it, which is another great fabric. It doesn't stretch quite as much as some of the others, but you can see it still has some give in it, and it definitely meets that requirement of at least that. I think it's like about 10%, like I showed in the last, in the video courses. Your fabric needs to stretch from here to here, like this amount of fabric needs to stretch at least to the end of that little arrow, so it's not much, okay? Then we got some more Liverpools in. This is like a pink, kind of like a platy. But I like the Liverpool, especially for first-timers because it has so much stretch. So even if you're like, I'm going to go down to this size, or I messed up, or my seam allowance wasn't too consistent, when you work with stretch, it's amazing because it's so forgiving. So this is going to be another one. This would look super cute with one of these, with the quilted for like a little girl jacket, or even a grown woman. But I was starting to look at some of the stuff because I know some people want to make them for kids too. And then we were only able to get this in this batch, 1 large scale floral. So this is just a little chunk of it to show y'all. And the background is a navy. All right. So it's going to be like a really large panel navy like this. So this one goes, I think even with this navy, with this kind of lighter navy colored for the sleeves. That would look cool. This large scale like this, big panels like that, would be awesome for the big back panel. It's like a statement piece on the back. Now, something else. A lot of you, not a lot, a good handful of people have emailed me asking about embroidery because they have machines to do embroidery. The back panel of this jacket would be the perfect canvas, okay, for you to add a crazy embroidery. If you're someone that has those big fancy embroidery machines with a really large hoop, imagine what you can put on the back there. Oh, that would look amazing. So if any of you try it, definitely I want to see pictures, okay? But you can also do stuff here. Depending on the fabrics that you choose, you can turn it into kind of like a Letterman looking jacket. I'm excited to show you all the one that I'm working on for my son. So you can see, and he's 9. So you can see that just based on the fabrics, you can do it for kids too, like boys, I'm saying, because it's designed for girls and women, but it's such a unisex looking pattern, or like silhouette for the outerwear jacket like this, that it would work great for young boys, tweens, and teens even. You know, just use like bulkier, kind of cooler fabrics and stuff that they like. Nikki Reed says, Andra, she's like, you're up, the embroidery, that's you all over. It's true. Andra, if you do a crazy panel on the back, I want to see it, for sure. But yeah, you can also mix and match. You know, if you got half a yard of one fabric or 1 yard of this. So think about it like this. If you really are kind of overwhelmed and you're not like a big color and pattern person, you can make the whole jacket just out of the quilted knit. That's perfect. It'll look like a little quilted bomber, like a puffer jacket, you know what I'm saying? But it'll be still a lightweight jacket, okay? You don't have to make it out of the mix and match, but if you want to, we will go through that, since especially in the pattern instructions, and what I'm gonna cover, I like to do it like that. Front panels, one fabric with the same as the back, but these two can be different too. You can do one fabric for here. Remember I talked about one panel for the back, and if the back is different, because that drop forward shoulder shows here, the shoulder seam is down here, whatever different fabric you put on the back will show on the front. So that's another, just more design options for you, okay? But you don't have to take them. Don't let it be too overwhelming if you're not somebody like that. You can make the whole jacket out of this. This would be super cool. This kind of looks like Spider-Man stuff to me. If you had like a Spider-Man embroidered patch for a kid, what? This would look amazing, okay? And you can totally make them one fabric, no worries. Tammy says, all quilted. Love it. Yeah, that would look kind of hot. So those are some of the fabrics. We're getting some more in, but I just kind of wanted to give you a little sneak peek. We're going to head over to the sewing coop tonight after I'm done here so we can cut and bag up some of these kits. And I'll be sure to add some of the quilted knits. I'll add them by themselves. Is that something that y'all are interested in? You know, because they don't always go with all the fabrics, and some of you want to get one fabric, another one, and then have like 7 different options and kind of mix and match before you start cutting. So let me know real quick if you're live on the chat if you'd like to see me add the quilted knits by themselves. We did add a few of the last ones, but they sold out super quick too. All right? Andrea, let's do a competition. Maybe I'll do a big back panel on another jacket for me. There are some, I mean, can you imagine? Like, bam, on the back of a jacket? That would look hot. That would look super hot. All right, then let's quickly talk about the ribbing. A lot of people have had questions about this, even though I covered, I think, in pretty good depth in the first batch of the video courses or the video sessions that went up. I want you to choose something that's super stretchy. And here's the problem. Patterns will call for ribbing. And this is just traditionally when you're making sweatshirts, sweatpants, pullovers, and stuff like that, that need to have like a cinched in anything. They do this and they just say ribbing fabric. But ribbing fabric, nowadays we have so many more blends of textiles. I have ribbing fabric here. And I want y'all to see it in person because I don't want you to think, well, Vanessa told me this, but the pattern says this, and I went to buy it and it didn't work. So here's what happens. Ribbing, okay? I'm showing you this whole thing because it's doubled up. You see how there's 2 layers? But there is no open end. That's one end that's folded, and here's one end that's folded. What that means is that this thing is just a massive circle. Okay, and this is how it comes. They're called tubular ribbing knits. Okay, you see how it's just like a big round thing? It's knit in the round. Now, this is ribbing, and I'll show you with the texture. When you look up close, you see how you see all the little ribs. If you knit, you know, you do like on a hat or at the top part of a sock or whatever, you do the ribbing. Okay? This stuff is straight up garbage. And here's why. And they're not all made the same, but that's why I try to show you visually. So when you do see it, so if you're buying it online and you're buying from a source that you don't know if they know what you need it for, it's going to be hard. If you can get to a store and feel it, you're going to have a better luck. So here's my ribbing and here's the stretch. Does it stretch? Yeah, a good bit. Okay, that way and this way, nothing. So when you're opening and closing those ribs, that's where you get the most stretch. So when you stretch, that's it. It's just like nothing. You know what I mean? Like it has no body to it. It's almost a little bit sheer. You can stretch it and it'll come back, and then it's going to have like all this bubbling, rippling. garbage. Okay? So here's the one that I used for this jacket. And this is just something I had in my stash. I'm trying to source some ribbing that is going to work, that's good. And I think I might have found one, but I won't have it yet. It just doesn't return good, and it's just like floppy. And so what happens is, so even like this, and it comes kind of back, you know, it still doesn't have as much stretch as I would like it to have. But if you stretch, which you're going to have to say do the cuffs or the collar or the waistband especially, I would say more so in the sleeve cuffs here, because this is the smallest space. You see all this has to be cinched shut into this little bitty thing. When you have this stretched, because you got to stretch it when we sew it, and then you stitch, you're stitching all these ribs open. Okay? And so then it's going to be held like that. But then the ribbing has to come a little bit here. This to me does not show me that it's going to like cuff around my wrist. It looks like it's going to be just ripply, 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 and I'm going to hate it. You're going to have to like steam it, press it every time you go to wear it. I'm not a fan. So instead, I like stuff like this. Okay? And remember that when you do the cuffs and the collar and the waistband, it's doubled up layers. So even if you find a flimsy, kind of like a soft, lightweight one, double it up and give it a good tug and back and see how it feels. Okay? If I do source one, I'll definitely do a quick little video showing y'all how it goes before I post it. And you only need about a 1/4 yard. Even less. I mean, the pieces are not big at all, even if you're making the adult sizes. So anyways, this is like, has substance to it, some body. And so here it is in one layer. I just cut a little scrap from what I had left in my stash. I was trying to see if I had enough to even put some on the website, but I don't have enough. I need it for me. So this is it, this little piece. Look at that. Look at that. Bling. Does it roll? Yes, because it's not that thick, you know, it's not a heavy duty. It's not a medium weight. It's just a little bit thicker than a lightweight. But this has like, I think the label said rayon, poly, and spandex blend in it. But that spandex is going to give you that good bounce back. So imagine I had a cuff about like this. I could definitely, the open part of the sleeve is not going to be more than this wide. So I know that I'll be able to stitch this two together once I stretch this guy to match the other size. And you'll understand that more when we get to, you know, the sewing part and making it. But I know that it's going to do that at least to sew it, and then it'll come back. Okay? So aim for something like this. And I kind of like the little mini stripe ones. I was able to find ones that had like wider spaces in between them. They didn't have quite as much stretch as I would have liked, but I think I have one like this. Phyllis is asking, what type of fabric do you use for the lining? So the same fabric that we use on the outside, I use in the lining. Do you have to go that heavy, like with a medium weight and a medium weight on the lining? You don't have to, but I did because I wanted to see how basically adding the same medium weight to the outside and the lining, how much of the actual ease that's built into the pattern at my size it would take up. So this is something that, based on my experience here, I'm going to talk about in the video courses. You don't want to go with like, say you cut out your size. Okay, you make one for yourself unlined and it fits you great. So now you want another one and you want to line it. Do not go and do like the same fabrics that you did on the outside and then say, well, I want it to be warmer, so I'm going to add minky on the inside. Okay, or stretch velour on the inside. You're not going to be able to get away with that cutting your same size. You'll have to size up. And we'll talk about that because the bulk of the inside lining in a fluffier, more medium to heavyweight fabric is going to eat up all the room that you have here for your ease. It's not going to be anything like the unlined version, okay? And you have to remember that this pattern was designed and it's drafted to be unlined. So there are modifications that will need to be made if you're planning to line it, okay? So that's what I wanted to do was like, all right, let's do same weight, and see if I'm too restricted for me to have to tell you guys, okay, if you're going to line it, you have to size up. You don't have to if you're going with light or the same, at least in my experience, okay? Especially, I mean, I have a long sleeve shirt under too, so now I have 3 layers on, okay? But I could easily size up one and leave the same fabric and I'll just have a little bit more room. So there is a lot of wiggle room there, especially because I used Liverpool for both. And Liverpool has a ton of stretch. If you use a more stable fabric, you're going to have to size up, right? Because if it doesn't stretch quite as much and you're adding bulk to the lining, you're going to have problems. So look how much this stretches. stretches a lot more than what is required by the pattern. Remember I said, you have to stretch 4 inches, just that little bit. It would be like stretching this from here to here. And this goes like this, okay? So we can get away with a little bit more when we are using the stretchy Liverpool. So that's another reason I kind of kitted this up and recommended it to help beginners out there like y'all start off with more successful results, okay? So ribbing, the stretchier the better. And if it bounces back, go for it. Remember I told you in the last video session that I use double brush polyester spandex for this. This stuff is super thin. I don't have a chunk here. This stuff is super thin, but I thought, you know, it's really stretchy, and I had a scrap on hand, and it met the requirement of super duper stretch. And what else? What did I say? Super stretch for the ribbing. And it has a spandex in it, so it bounces back. That's all I wanted. And I really didn't want to do anything with like a print or anything funky. I was like, oh, I'll just do black on black, you know, just so that it kind of goes a little bit more seamless. Since I do have that great pop of blue in the lining. My son's jacket, get ready. He picked a pink velour lining for the interior. It's like blue, well, it's black with the blue quilted knit and hot pink on the inside. He's like, yeah, I want that, the hot pink lining. So it's going to look super fly on him. So again, for him, because he's going bulkier on the inside with the lining, and it's an outerwear jacket, it's supposed to go over other clothes. And if he's wearing that here in Florida, the idea is he's probably going to have something chunky underneath, okay, for like the more colder days in the 30s and stuff. We'll probably put him, say, a long sleeve shirt and then that puffier jacket. So I cut him out a size, I think 11 or 12. So a little bit bigger for him, and that way he can grow into it too, okay? So that's that on the ribbing. If I can source this, I will definitely list it just in the chunks that is necessary for the kit. You know, maybe 1/4 yard or 3/8, whatever it is. Which actually, let me just look at it real quick. Oh, it's 3/8 of a yard, so just under half a yard. So maybe I'll just list it under half a yard if I can get the good, a good ribbing that stretches enough. Because you can get away with one that stretches enough, but remember, in the collar, that won't be a problem if it's not super duper stretch. In the waistband, you may be able to get away with it just because it's a longer chunk that has to go around the whole back until it meets the front panels at the bottom. But in the cuffs right here, this is number one. It's small, it's tight, and it will be tricky for some beginners. So the stretchier the fabric, the easier it will be for you to do this part. And I would hate for you to get in the unlined version, if we're making just the first one, all the way to attaching the sleeve cuffs here and not be able to have the stretch amount in the fabric that you're using reach. Because you're going to be like, I'm so close to finishing and I can't wear it yet, right? So stretchier the better, okay? If you have double brush poly in a solid and you can see, or if you're getting some online, look to see how much stretch it has. Or write them. If it's an independent shop on Etsy or something, ask them, hey, can you stretch that fabric for me and tell me what percentage stretch it has? I would recommend going over 100%. Like if you can get a fabric that's like 120 or 150, that's going to be even better. Because the more you can stretch it, the easier it will be for you to stretch it around, sew it, and boom, just let it go. Your cuff is on. Move on to the next one. Okay? Susan's asking, could you use some of the printed fabric that came in the kit for the ribbing? So it's going to depend. You got to get your fabric and see, okay? Do the stretch test. Let me see if I can measure this one. They're not all created equal, even though they say the same fiber content. I could put you 10 different fabrics that are 95% polyester, 5% spandex, and they're all going to stretch a different amount. All the double brush polyester spandex that I've used, they all stretch different amounts. Some fabrics are like 150%. Some are like 75, which is still a lot, but it's not the same as you think. You can't put everything in one. There's so many different manufacturers that you can't just say, oh, this is this kind of fabric. I know how it's going to stretch. You don't. All right, so 4 inches, and I'm stretching this. Wow, I stretched this to 10. So 4 inches stretched to 8 inches is 100%. And because I was able to stretch it another 2 inches, that tells me that this has 150% stretch. Will this specific Liverpool work for the ribbing? Yes. Okay? Now, you still want it to have some stretch on the vertical part. Okay, some is better than none, for sure. But the stretchier you can get, I mean, just grab the fabric and go here, here, here. Any which way you can stretch it, the better. So this one stretches craziness along the crosswise grain. And then look how much it still stretches lengthwise. This is a great fabric, and I have no idea where I got it. It's been in my stash for like 5 years, I think. All right. So that is that. Okay? Any other specific questions for me here? Let me scroll up and see. Is jersey knit ribbing made of cotton okay? It's hard to talk about these fabrics with the terminology that's used in manufacturing and labeling. This stuff actually said jersey on the label. This ain't no jersey to me. When I think jersey, I think t-shirt fabric. And if you're familiar, actually, here's a kid's t-shirt that we cut the sleeves off of for basketball practice, like a store-bought Hanes t-shirt. It does not stretch much. It has stretch, and we think about t-shirts as being stretchy because they stretch more than woven fabrics, but they're not like what we're talking about and using here, right? They're not like leggings fabric. It's just like a fabric that stretches but doesn't have spandex in it. So remember I said in the video courses, make sure that you see that it has some spandex in it if you want that bounce back. Because you can find a ton of stretch knits that are 100% cotton, and those are not going to be your friend. Not for the body of the jacket, and definitely not for the ribbing. Because it's just going to droop and stretch out over your shoulders, and it's just not going to bounce back to life because it doesn't have that spandex in it. And then I talked about cotton interlock, so you can watch those videos to see a little bit more about some of those fabrics that are just 100% cotton like that. What you can use in the cotton realm is a cotton spandex, so cotton lycra. But you got to check the stretch. Again, they're not all created equal. We bought maybe, my kids were making a bunch of like raglan t-shirts, and I made some too. And so we were alternating, you know, the sleeves a different color from the body. And so I bought maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 different colors of 95% cotton, 5% spandex. And when I tell you almost all of them felt different in weight and in stretch, there's no way of knowing, okay, unless you're... So somebody's asking about lycra and spandex. So lycra is the trademark name for spandex. It's the same thing. And if you're overseas, excuse me, overseas, they call it elastane. So it's the same thing. It's what's giving the elasticity to the fabric in it, that fiber that they put in. Okay. All right. So, let's see. Are there any other questions for me? Lycra, yeah, so lycra is fabric. So some online fabric says 40% stretch. Kathleen says 40% stretch. In the video lessons that already went up for the class, the first session of videos, I show you exactly the exercise to do so that you can see how much stretch a fabric has. I don't like to rely too much on these labels, on what the textile content is and all that. I grab that fabric, fold it in half, hold 4 fingers in my hand. So say I have a ruler here. I put my finger at 0, I put my finger at 4 inches, and then I'm going to stretch. And this fabric I can stretch to 6 inches. So if the original piece that I'm holding to stretch is 4 inches, that's 100% of what I'm about to stretch. So that's the regular stuff that we're stretching. 1 inch over that, 1 inch from the original is a quarter of it, right? So 1 inch is 1/4 of 4 inches. So 100 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4 is 25 inches. So that tells me that if I'm stretching 4 inches, every additional inch that I can stretch that same 4 inches to has 25% stretch. If I can make it stretch another additional inch, I've added another 25% stretch. So now we're at 50% stretch. So this quilted knit has 50% stretch because I was able to take a 4-inch chunk, fold it up. Make sure you fold it on the fold and don't do this little stretching exercise on the edge of a cut fabric. That's why I fold it. So I took 4 inches and I was able to stretch it to 6. Because I took the 4 inches, an additional 2 inches, that's half of what the original piece was, which half of 100 is 50%. So that's how I can tell that this has 50% stretch. All right? Let's see what else. Mike that was asking what was the fabric you used for your lining. I use Liverpool. So that same textured knit. You see how it has this crepe finish? And that crepe finish is like this crinkle finish. All the ones that I say are Liverpool have that crinkle finish. So like this houndstooth piece, you can see the crinkling on it. This is a selvage, but you can see it a little better, I think, there. This other one, and I think we got like a red and white stripe in too. that big floral, again, has that crinkle finish. And for those that maybe have never touched Liverpool before, that crinkle finish is only on the pretty side of the fabric. So on the inside, it's totally smooth and it's actually quite soft. So this is also great to use for the unlined version, which is what I did here. So this is the inside part of the Liverpool, which is fine. And then the back, you know, on the front panels, were that crinkled Liverpool fabric. All right, so that's what I'm using for that, or that's what I used for that. All right. Phyllis is asking if you need to cut a zipper shorter, do you need to put ends on them? Yes. So I talk about this in the description page, that the only things that you still had to get, even if you bought the kit, were like the zipper stops. And I'll give some recommendations when we get to that. I'll give some recommendations on where you can get it from. The only thing about that is that, like, you can't really get it in small amounts. I was trying to source from a vendor to get that, like, a little bit, because where you get them on Amazon, there's like 200 in a bag, and it's like you're not going to use that in your entire lifetime. But, you know, that is an option. But yeah, you need to put stops on the end so that the zipper pull doesn't fly up, because you do leave a gap from where the collar is to the fabric, so you need the little metal to stop the zipper pull from coming up, because it is a separating jacket, right? So there's nothing on the end to keep it, and so we put little stops on the ends. All right. So Carla, are you asking about using double brush poly for the body of the jacket? That might be a little too flimsy, girl. She lives in South Florida, though. Maybe I would use a cotton lycra, cotton spandex, for the body of a really, really lightweight jacket, because it still has a little bit more body than the double brush poly. What about cotton fabric without stretch? Yeah, that's going to be rough. Is it impossible? No, but you'll have to basically redraft the pattern, and you'll have to modify like the amount of stretch, right? Because there's already ease included into this pattern based on stretch, but it is designed to only use fabric that has this teensy bit of stretch, okay? So if you got rid of that, you would just have to make your pattern pieces bigger, and you know, you'd basically have to redraft all the pieces, and that's going to take a little trial and error on your part. I'm not covering that stuff in this class, since we are using this pattern and I'm going off of stretch. And I work quite the opposite. I tend to have people use even stretchier fabrics than what they need, so you have better results. All the modifications and like really changing like a knit pattern to a woven fabric, or a woven pattern into knits, you got to have some experience under your belt to know like where to make the changes and the modifications. But it is possible. You just might not have enough room back here. Then if you line it with another non-stretch fabric, you'll have to take some puckers and pleats on the inside to make up for the excess, because the lining part should be smaller, like to still cuff around but still open up when you're putting it on and taking it off. There's a lot of stuff that comes with that too. So I would recommend just starting off with the basics, okay? All right. Nikki Reed says, I need to soak this eye in some chamomile tea. Good. Maybe I'll do that tonight before I go to bed, because I definitely have chamomile. Thanks for the suggestion. It's just like dry pat. Like now it feels just like dry. Weird. All right. Audrey says they probably don't call it Liverpool here in Ontario. I have seen Canadian vendors selling it and called Liverpool. So if not, I would suggest, if you're going to like a local independent shop, to ask for or to ask to see their double knits. Okay, that's what you want to be looking for, stuff in that weight range. All right. I'm just trying to see what else. All right, so I think that most of y'all are going to be good to go. So remember that the next batch of videos is going to go up on Friday. And I'm excited. We're going to get tracing. We're going to start to make another one. And I'm going to show y'all, maybe for the next live chat, I think I'll have it done by then. Like for the next live chat, I'll have my son's jacket done, and we'll talk more about that too, okay? So that depending on how far along you will be by then in cutting out your you know, tracing your pattern and cutting out your pieces and stuff like that, you can start to play around with the idea of starting another one, right? Assembly line style. Once we start cutting and sewing one, I think you're going to be like, I could be cutting out another one. Let me trace out another size and start cutting out fabric for the next one to maybe make your next one lined or reversible, right? So we will do that. I'm excited, and I'm going to show you the fabric that I'm going to use for the next one that I'm going to film in the class, like the one that I'm making. I have this crazy yellow Liverpool that I got. I'm not a very muted color kind of person, for those that don't know. But I did make this one that was kind of muted just to show people options in case you're not like a big time floral person. But how crazy is this? What? Maybe I should do the front 2 panels out of this with one of the quilted knits and a ridiculous embroidery on the back. I don't know. It might be too loud if I use floral for this and the back. And an embroidery on the back. But I don't know. Maybe I'll just do it regular like I did this floral, right? Front, back panels out of this Liverpool that I got. And so again, the crinkle finish on the Liverpool. And if you're buying online, look and see, because some of them will show you that just type in double knits. And if it shows you kind of a close-up shot of the fabric and you see these crinkles, Liverpool. But look how much it stretches. Look how much it stretches crosswise. Yes, baby. The stretchier, the better for me. So yeah, that's going to look crazy. Maybe with navy quilted sleeves. I love playing around with little things like, which one should I choose? Then you choose one and you're like, okay, the next one, I will do it this way. And you get to mix and match and do whatever you want. That's the beauty of it. So hopefully all of y'all will feel like that once you make the one lined one. And it feels like it's taking long, of course, because the course is all drawn out over weeks and weeks. Bro, once you make one, it's a quick make. It is a quick make. Did somebody ask about scuba here? Scuba feels like fitness wear, so be careful with some of that fitness stuff. It's called, like, it sometimes comes under the name Supplex. It's super, like, compression fabric, okay? It stretches, but it doesn't have this kind of super springy stretch. It'll be like a 50% stretch that's like a rough 50. Like, it's just thick and it bounces back, but it's less. So typically, like, even if I use Supplex for active wear, like leggings and workout gear, I have to size up 1 or even 2 sizes larger than what I typically will cut out, because that fabric is restricted on the stretch and it's so compression. Sometimes I'll just go up 1 size and then I slip it on and it's like, and it took like 8 pounds off of me. But you know the pants ain't going nowhere when you're like running or squatting. So that's a fabric to keep an eye out for. Again, it still will be fine for this jacket because there's more than that little bitty amount of stretch that is required. And you know, it's hard to know for sure unless you're getting a kit and you've worked with the fabric before. So just jump in. Don't spend too much time thinking I have to find the absolute most perfectest fabric. Just make one. Once you break down all the barriers and you go through all the steps, then, I mean, you're going to be a whole different person at the end of making one. Whether it turned out great or it's a mess, you're going to be like, oh, now I get it. Okay? So don't get too hung up on all the fabrics. Look for something stretchy that bounces back that you like, and let's make a jacket, okay? So thank you, everybody, for joining me today for this first live chat session. And I will be posting these kits. If you follow me on social media like Instagram, I'll be posting some pictures on Insta stories tonight as we're cutting and bagging it up. So you'll see pieces that are a little bit bigger than my little swatches that I chopped up real quick here for you. And the reversible zippers, I'll put some up. Remember, I only have like 20 of them. So I will list them on the site tonight also. And I will call the people tomorrow and see where my other batch is so that I can list some more. Because I'm telling you, once you make an unlined one, you're going to want to make more. This is the perfect, and it's a quick gift. If you like knit or crochet or quilt, this is way less time involved when you want to give a gift to someone and you know they're going to wear it because it's a jacket. Like, everybody needs a good jacket, okay? All right, so thanks again for joining me. And no, Audrey, we're not going to do the spinning wheel today. This was supposed to be kind of a short, quick one just to get everybody going. Once we get into the class, the next one, we're going to bring out this magic spinning wheel of giveaway prizes. And I'm going to be putting together some kits and stuff to give away for the next one. So that'll be good. Some notions and some extra fabric and stuff like that. All right, so thanks again for joining me, everybody. Have a great rest of your holiday weekend. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.